Good morning, everyone. This is the Thursday before the Thursday of Thanksgiving. Today is November 20th, 2014. It is 8:30 a.m., and we're going to call the meeting of the Carson City Board of Supervisors and the Carson City Redevelopment Authority to order. We're at 851 East William Street in Carson City. Can we have a roll call, please, for the board?
Supervisor Abel.
Here.
Supervisor Bonkowski. Supervisor McKenna.
Here.
Supervisor Shirk.
Here.
Mayor Kroll.
Here.
You have a quorum present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alan. Father Jeff, would you lead us in the invocation, get us started on the right foot? Good morning to you.
I certainly will, Mr. Mayor. Quick question. You folks aren't meeting next Thursday, are you? I'm just checking. At my house? You're all welcome for breakfast. So I thought, since you aren't gathering next week, that we'd kind of get a jump on the holiday and give thanks. And so we're going to do a little litany. So there's a call and response, and when I give you the signal, your response is, thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Let us give thanks to God for all the gifts so freely bestowed upon us, for the beauty and wonder of creation in earth and sky and sea.
Thank you.
For all that is gracious in the lives of men and women.
Thank you.
For our daily food and drink, our homes and families, and our friends.
Thank you.
For minds to think, and hearts to love, and hands to serve.
Thank you.
For health and strength to work, and leisure to rest and play.
Thank you.
For the brave and courageous who are patient in suffering and faithful in adversity.
Thank you.
For all valiant seekers after truth, liberty, and justice.
Thank you.
For all the saints in our lives, both present and past, in all times and in all places.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Who'd like to do some pledges? Why don't you get the stars on? Let's do it. I get you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're now on item number 5, public comment. We have public comment now, at the end, during, throughout the day. So the microphone's open for public comment. There's usually no discussion for public comment, right? Okay, anybody? Yes, sir, come on up.
Thank you very much, supervisors and people in attendance. My name is John Sutton. I'm a 16-year Nevada resident. I've owned commercial and residential property in Carson City for the last 8 years. And I just want to read a prepared note that I pulled together. The subject context is the medical marijuana work within Carson City.
John, feel free to tip that mic up.
Thank you. My back was starting to hurt. So, the question, I have 3 basic questions. It'll take hopefully 3 minutes. As related to MMEs, does Carson City have the same discretion as what is being promoted within Clark County? And I'm going to cite some of the record here, so I'm going to be reading directly from recorded minutes of Division Chief Chad Weston's testimony for a State Advisory Commission dated July 9th, 2014, where the state official said that any denial at the local level would lead to the state subsequently denying them themselves and letting Clark County know who the next ranked entity is. Reference directly page 7, and I have the references here to look at afterwards. Mr. Weston said that the division will receive all the applications of people who apply across this state. He said they would come up with the highest ranked 18 rankings in Clark County and then issue provisional certificates. He said Clark County then had the option of denying the businesses at the local level. If they are denied at the local level, then the state will also deny them, said Chad Weston. And the state would then let Clark County know who is the next ranked entity. Then on page 16, Mr. Weston replied that once you got past the application provisional certificates, the local approval of the businesses was absolutely required. He said that at the point the local government denied any business, the state would follow suit and deny that certificate itself. And then me personally referencing a conversation I had on November 13th with Senator Tick Sigerbloom. Tick told me after a committee meeting that Chad Weston had said, the director of the state program, Chad Weston, told my entire committee that the cities and the counties are free to skip over the state selection at any juncture and pick an applicant that they prefer for their community. So what I asked next is, what happened to a new Nevada industry for Nevadans serving Nevada patients like my son? This is going to be anecdotal, but I've had exit interviews with several people that were a part of the ranking of the applicants themselves. So those temporary folks that were hired with careers working previously, i.e. in the FDA, et cetera. Here's what I was told as of yesterday. Initially, we had an ordered process within the state with specific people responsible for specific sections of the application. But under the tsunami, the sheer volume of the applications and the size of the applications itself, which surprised us, 600 to 1,200 pages, we moved way too quickly. We lost all specialization, leading to a large variability in the rankings under each category. Even consider that we were not allowed, this is interesting to me, even consider, John, that we were not allowed to conduct due diligence through public domain tools like Google. Rather, we were ordered to focus exclusively on the content within the applications themselves. Wow. No, I actually was given 2 pages of page 1. I promise there's only 2 pages. So what happened to a new industry for Nevadans serving Nevada patients? And what I wanted to call out is my job isn't to do the diligence into the out-of-state entities that won, but I will characterize some of them. TerraTech won 8 dispensary licenses in Nevada. First of all, I have a problem with the fact that it's structured as a public company. Ultimately, if you follow the regulation coming out of the SEC and the federal government, a publicly traded company can't conduct business in marijuana at all. Why? Because of the Schedule I designation. The minute there are profits that are distributed to shareholders, they're in violation of Schedule I, and it becomes an interstate felony. So the structure itself is problematic and was not considered by the state of Nevada when they gave them 8 licenses. The attitude is different than me. My group wanted to take care of patients. We are a group of doctors. And ultimately, I found it interesting when TerraTech's CEO, November 17th in the USA Today, was asked, why are you in this space? Why did you want to get into medical marijuana? Las Vegas is a city of recreation. It's a city that invented the $5,000 bottle of vodka, said Derek Peterson, CEO of TerraTech, who won 8 Nevada dispensary licenses. This is an adult playground in Nevada. Las Vegas's model is my model. I just ask, where are the patients? So ultimately, I state, it'd be interesting to realize Carson City, like Clark County, has the discretion. You can choose to do business with a local entity. There are tremendous security and economic consequences of choosing to do business with an out-of-state entity. Though those entities will pay taxes and they will pay fees, we know that if I'm an 85% owned in Arizona or Connecticut or Ohio, the majority of the profits of these businesses, which could have strengthened and made more robust our economy, are going to be channeled into other states. As a state-owned local business, I would ask that you consider doing business with qualified state-owned local business operators. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Okay, other public comment. Anybody else want to weigh in at this time? Come on in.
I'm a little shorter. Good morning, Doria Shoemaker for the record. So this is a new process for us, and I'm just going to put it out there that we recommend that you put this on the agenda for a future meeting regarding the medical marijuana choosing of business entities.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay, I don't see any. As I said, we have public comment as we go through the day here. All right, on the agenda, anybody, city manager, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Board members, any changes to the agenda? Unless there's an objection, we'll take the agenda as posted. Let's all retire down to the well down here and do some special presentations. Thank you. This is speaking to my board here, but everybody, this is a special part of the day. This is our presentation for length of service awards to our valued employees. And we want to start this morning with recognition of, let me see who I have here, Patrick Calvin for 5 years. Patrick. A business systems analyst for us. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks for making Carson City a better place to live, work, play, and communicate. Thank you. Okay. Come on up here. Wait up here. I don't know if this guy's here or not. How do you say this name? M-O-E-L-L? Mollendorf? Hey. Roger Mollendorf, the Director of Parks and Recreation. Roger, thanks for doing a lot for us here, man. For 10 years of making sure that our parks and recreation facilities are top-notch. Thanks, Roger, very much. You look great, man. Ginny, did I get... Ginny Powell's a legal secretary. She's been with us for 15 years. Thank you for making Carson City a better place to work, live, and play, and particularly work in a good work environment. And thank you for 15 years of good service. Thank you. Come on up here. And Brian? Good morning to you, Brian. How are you doing this morning? All right. Brian, on behalf of a grateful community, please accept our congratulations and thanks for 15 years of service to our community, making and keeping it safe. I know you're out on the front lines a lot, so thanks very much. Come on up. All right. And William Richards. Bill, good morning to you. William. Good to see you come here. That's great. On behalf of a grateful community, thanks for wearing a uniform this morning, and thanks for keeping us safe for 15 years of continuous and dedicated service to our community. Thanks, William. Thanks very much. Good back, Wendy. Good morning, Wendy. You know any of these guys over here? You do? Okay. For Wendy, this is 20 years. She's judicial assistant at the judicial branch of our government. Wendy, on behalf of a grateful community, thanks for 20 years of continuous and dedicated service to making Carson City the best place to live. Thank you very much. Come on. 20 years. Rory, I know I saw you back there. Come on up. Rory is Assistant Project Manager he's been with us for 25 years. 25 years. Rory, on behalf of a grateful community and our board and everyone here today, thank you for 25 years of continuous service. It's marvelous. I see you everywhere around. Thank you. Alan Kutzel, is that to pronounce that right? Alan? I don't see Alan here, okay. I think we're done, right? No, I think somebody here. I don't know. Is Shreehan around here?
I don't know if he's here.
Shreehan here? Oh, you're back there. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you worked there, Bob. Good to see you, man. You know, I kid Bob. This is really a particular special award. This is for 30 years of service to our community for Bob Shreehan and all the kid. Although we kid a little bit, you know, I know you take that, but on a serious note, thanks for everything you've done for 30 years for us, Bob. Thanks. Thank you. Let's get a picture.
Yeah, Can we have the family members?
Family members, come on up, too.
Come on up and get in the picture.
Get in the middle, Bob, come on. Come on, put your wife, come on. Get in the middle there.
Okay, smile. There you go, thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks again, guys. We ready? Okay, we're going to now take up regular order of business number 8, Justice Court. This is the second reading on Bill number 116. This amends Title II of the Administrative Code, Chapter 2.37, fees. We've had this before. It adds a $10 fee for certain filings at the Justice Court level. Anything changed before first and second reading?
Nothing's changed.
Any additional comments to you before first and second reading?
I do. Max Cortez, for the record, Court Administrator. I just wanted to say that Judge Armstrong really wanted to be here today. He extends his apologies. He's actually in Reno attending specialty court conference training to start the misdemeanor drug court. But he wanted to be here, but he also needed to get that training.
Well, tell him we voted it down because he wasn't here.
Well, he said, please show up and ask for your
All
continued
right.
support.
Public comment? Motion's in order, Board.
Resolution is 2014-15.
I move to adopt on second reading Bill number 116, Resolution 2014-15, an ordinance amending the Carson City Municipal Code, Title II, Administration and Personnel, Chapter 2.37, fees on court actions to support programs for prevention and treatment of abuse of alcohol, and adding 2 new sections, 2.37.030 and 2.37.040, to include justice courts pursuant to NRS 4.075 and NRS 453.580 and other matters properly related thereto.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Bonkowski, a couple seconds on the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Tell the judges to enjoy their new specialty court over there. It looks pretty nice,
Thank you.
despite the fact that I broke the railing.
That's okay. We'll just do an augmentation.
Okay. All right. Let's take up item 9. This is the treasurer. This is for possible action to recognize the assumption of a portion of Dwight Millard Stanton Park's financial obligation with respect to a number of properties. I think Beth is here. Al Kramer is at the Nevada Association of Counties meeting in Elko. Beth, ready to take this on?
I am.
Good. Tell us what's going on here. Go.
Okay, for the record, Beth Huck, Chief Deputy Treasurer for the Treasurer's Office. Basically asking for recognition to the assumption of the portion of Dwight Millard, Stanton Park's financial obligation, Kathleen Thomas or Pheasant Ferguson LLC as her assignee.
And Beth, the original note went out with the name of Gint instead of, and you mentioned
Correct.
Kathleen Thomas. You want to just explain what that is and why we changed that?
Al originally was dealing with Mr. Gint, and he has been verbally all along. But when we actually pulled up Secretary of State, paperwork, it did indicate that the officer was Kathleen Thomas.
So they're the same group?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And if we, this is signed, Al's going to sign this. It's not signed by the mayor or the board, but there's no change in the, as I understand it, there's no change in any of the payment plans or anything like that that the bankruptcy court's approved.
Correct.
The lien of the Carson City has remains intact as a priority lien on the 11 parcels that are going to be transferred out. And that one of the reasons why normally on a sale like this, there would be, collection of the proceeds, the entire outstanding balance of the tax on sale, but my understanding is the bankruptcy court has approved an amortization schedule already, and that amortization schedule is part of what's being transferred here with the 11 properties.
You are correct.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. And are there any, so there's really, other than putting someone else in their shoes, this complies with the bankruptcy court issue, and also there's no, it's actually transparent. There's no change vis-a-vis the city other than a different owner of those 11 pieces of property.
Correct. Yes.
All right. Other board comments? Public comment? Anybody want to weigh in? Looks like you did a good job, Beth.
Okay.
Tell Al he can stay in Ely.
Okay.
All right. Motion's in order. Supervisor Abel.
I move that the Carson City Board of Supervisors recognize and accept the assumption of a portion of Dwight Millard Stanton Park's financial obligation by Kathleen Thomas or Pheasant Ferguson LLC, his assignee.
Good. Motion by Supervisor Abel and a number of seconds on the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Thanks,
Okay.
Beth.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take up item 10, juvenile probation, interlocal agreement. Hey, Ben, good morning to you. Good to see you the other day at the courthouse.
Good to see you.
Why don't you tell us what's going on here? And
Ben Bianchi, juvenile probation chief, for the record. I'm asking for the resolution to implement the second amended interlocal agreement for the WINRIC program, and that document came about as a directive from the oversight board to implement a new interlocal agreement that gives the OTC board a little more authority in the chain of command dealing with the director of the program. So the oversight board wanted the OTC to have a more direct supervision of the director, so changes were made to reflect that.
any additional changes in this document and the agreement that we need to know about?
I don't believe so.
Supervisor Bonkowski.
Yes, there is one
Oh,
change
that's right.
under Roman numeral 3, subsection A, subsection I. There should be a reference in the second line to subsections 1 and 2, adding the and or 2 into that line.
And I did make that adjustment in this document that we could submit to replace it, and then what I'll need to do is send it back to Churchill County, who's already had it cleared through their board, to make sure they recognize the change before we move it on to the other jurisdictions.
Good enough. We'll take care of it. Good catch. Okay. Well, while you're up there, Ben, why don't you talk a little bit about what WINRIC does, so people listening can
The WINRIC
understand.
program is a 5-county consortium that all funds a drug and alcohol program for adolescents. It's been operating for 14 years now. The counties that are involved are Churchill, Lyon, Douglas, Carson, and Story. And it's a designed residential program. Basically, it originated running approximately 90 days to completion. It's expanded now. The typical stay for that program is 120 days. And it's basically a drug and alcohol program for adolescents funded by 5 counties. Staffed to hold approximately 25 youth, co-ed facility,
Okay.
in a nutshell.
Thanks. Board comments? Public comment?
I do have one comment. A portion of these programs are paid by a portion of the property tax, correct? There's 5 cents per assessed $100 in assessed value that goes towards WINRIC, and then little over 1 cent that goes towards China Springs.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Public comment, anybody want to weigh in?
Resolution number is 2014 R28.
Supervisor Abad?
I move to adopt Resolution Number 2014 R28, a resolution approving and authorizing the mayor to sign the second amended interlocal agreement for Western Nevada Regional Youth Center, an agreement between Carson City, Churchill County, Douglas County, Lyon County, Story County, the 1st Judicial District, the 3rd Judicial District, the 9th Judicial District, and the 10th Judicial District for the operation of the Western Nevada Regional Youth Center to solidify the relationship between the center's operation technical committee and administrator and provide direction and clarification.
And that's, I didn't catch it, was that with the change? With
With the change as recommended.
Okay, all right. On the motion, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Thanks, Mr.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Okay. Moving right along, can we take up item number 11?
Mayor, did I make a
Yeah, we're
disclosure
gonna-
before Nick gets rolling on this?
Disclosures in order on this issue. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to disclose that I own a business, Adele's, that might financially benefit or be injured by the corridor project, where the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation on behalf of all the citizens of Carson City will not be materially affected by the possible risks or benefits the corridor projects might have upon my financial interest in Adele's. And if there are any financial risks or benefits to my interest in Adele's, they are no greater than that accruing to any other member of any general business, profession, occupation, or group that is affected by the matter, and therefore I can and will lawfully consider, participate, and vote in this matter pursuant to NRS 281A.420.
Any other? Anybody? Anything changed from first to second reading, Mr. Providenti?
No, Mayor.
Public comment? Seeing none. Motions.
I move to adopt Bill Number 117 on second reading, Ordinance Number 16, an ordinance of the Board of Supervisors of Carson City, Nevada, authorizing the issuance of its Carson City, Nevada General Obligation Limited Tax Infrastructure Sales Tax Bonds, additionally secured by pledged revenues, Series 2014-F, for the purpose of financing infrastructure projects for the city, providing the form, terms, and conditions of the bonds and the general tax proceeds and the revenues pledged for the payment of such bonds, ratifying action previously taken towards issuing the proposed bonds, providing other matters related thereto, and providing the effective date hereof.
Second.
Motion second, Supervisor Shirk, go. Discussions in order.
Thank you. I just want to make a brief statement regarding this issue. As in the past, I've voted no on this, and I just want to clarify it. And it is basically if a bill, an agenda item, and in this case, an ordinance for limited tax gets passed by the majority of the board, regardless of how an individual board member votes, it is our duty as a board member to fully engage with other board members to ensure that all projects tied to this tax get fully evaluated before proceeding forward. Then all members of the board have further obligations ensuring the project is done correctly and continually monitoring staff as the project moves forward. Even after the projects are finished and completed, the board has a final duty to report to you, the citizens, the outcome of the project. So essentially, with the passage of this bond, our work has just begun, and I will be part of that work. Thank you, Mayor.
On the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Passes 4-1. You get the, Kathy, you got that, right? Okay. All right. Let's now take up item 11C, the report of each fund.
No, actually, there's
B,
Mayor.
excuse me, I'm on the V and T. I went right by the V and T. It steamed right by me. Thanksgiving times, guys. Okay. All right. Anything change on this one between first and second reading?
No, sir.
All right. Public discussion? Board, motion's in order.
I move to adopt Bill Number 118 on second reading, Ordinance Number 17, an ordinance of the Board of Supervisors of Carson City, Nevada, designated by its short title, 2014 V&T Historical Refunding Bond Ordinance, providing for the issuance of its Carson City, Nevada General Obligation Limited Tax V&T Historic Refunding Bonds, additionally secured by pledged revenues, Series 2014 providing the form, terms, and conditions of the bonds, providing for the levy and collection of annual general ad valorem taxes for the payment of such bonds, Additionally, securing their payment by a pledge of revenues derived from certain sales tax imposed by the city and providing other matters related thereto.
Motion by Supervisor Brnkowski, seconds by Supervisor Abad and Supervisor Shirk on the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Now we'll go to, we've all had item 11C, report on each fund.
Thank you,
Everybody had
Mayor.
a chance to read it? This is your...
This is the, just the normal meeting, the report that we submit at each meeting.
Okay, everybody had a chance to read it?
Did you want me to talk about the sewer? Yeah. If you,
Yeah.
The only difference in this report and going forward is that we actually combined the sewer operation and the sewer capitalization funds. We did this with the last budget year. We combined them. We've always combined them for financial reporting purposes, and we just didn't really need that capitalization fund anymore. So it's combined with the sewer operation fund. So it's just one sewer fund now. So that's why those numbers look a little strange. So that's the only difference.
Anybody else? Seeing none, motions in order to approve or accept.
I'll do it.
We'll go.
I move to accept the report on the condition of each fund in the Treasury and statements of receipts and expenditures through November 10, 2014 per NRS 251.030 and NRS 354.290.
Motion by Supervisor Abad, second by Supervisor Brnkowski on the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Okay, let's take up item 12. We've got some human services matters on A, B, and C. Good morning, Ms. Aker. How are you?
Good. Good morning.
Why don't you take us through 12A and tell us what you're doing on this one?
Okay, Nikki Aker, Health and Human Services. So I'm here today to ask for the approval of a full-time human services case manager that will be funded by what's the ADRC, which is the Aging and Disability Resource Center grant. This is a position that will be fully funded through the grant. We currently have a part-time position through the grant, and what we have found is that the referrals and the load of that position warrants a full-time position, and within the grant we have budgeted for a full-time. It took us a little while to get this program up and going, and since we have, like I said, with that part-time case manager, we're seeing the need for a full-time.
Got a couple questions, Karen and Brad.
Nikki, do you apply for this grant every year? And where I'm going with this is what happens to this position since it is grant funded?
This is usually a 2-year grant, and we'll be applying again at the beginning of 2015 because the current grant goes to June of 2015. And like I said, we'll be applying again, and it really helps us in this application to have this program fully going.
Nikki, 2 additional questions. First, what happens if we don't get the grant? What happens to this position? Do they get transferred to another department, or is the position tied specifically to this grant, and would the position go away?
It potentially could if there's no other position within our department that those skills would be necessary for.
Okay, and then explain to us the pros and cons of having this position filled through our marathon contract or having it be a city employee.
This is a position that it requires an education, and it requires the skills of knowing what services are out there and how to connect people to those services. We have, like I said, a part-time person right now that's doing very well in the position that is not funded through Marathon. Trying to find a person with these qualifications can be difficult through Marathon.
A follow-up question, and those were great questions that they asked. I know the position goes away if the grant goes away. What happens to the individual? Does the individual go away because they're connected with the position, or do they move within the organization of Carson? Or what happens to that person?
It would depend on what other positions we have available at that time. Like I said, it's very specific, and we do have another case manager position that works in a different section or works with different services. So, it depends on what's happening right at that moment as far as do we move them into another position, or does the position totally go away?
But does that person, let's say the grant goes away, the position goes away, could that person then be moved over to the city payroll and take a position away from an employee who's already employed? I'm just asking.
What's that? It could, yes. But it also depends on what positions have those qualifications.
I know, because I know this board has repeatedly said when the grant goes away, the position goes away, but we're not really saying the individual. We're just saying the position, which we know that, but the individual could actually move to a different position within the city structure, basically.
Right.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. No.
Explain.
So basically the way it works is that this person will be a part of the CCEA bargaining group. It doesn't really matter, for position-wise, it doesn't really matter the source of the funds. This position will be a part of that bargaining group. So if those funds go away, and again, the person could be moved into other parts of the organization. If we lay off this person, then that person will have bumping rights per the CCEA bargaining agreement. So basically, it doesn't really matter. If you're hiring a full-time person, it doesn't really matter the source of the funds if they're in the CCEA, if they're part of the CCEA bargaining agreement. If they're unclassified employees, then they really don't have any rights. If the money went away and we didn't need the position, then we can just terminate that person. But the CCEA folks, they'll basically be in that bargaining unit, and then they'll have those rights that those people are afforded. Does that make sense?
It does, and thank you. Then it goes back to a previous question, should we hire through Marathon or through the grant? Because am I seeing a difference there? If it's through Marathon, then it's kind of a different outcome at the end.
That's correct. I guess the only question would be whether you can hire the right person through Marathon, or if, I don't know, I guess I'm not really sure about that.
I think if Nikki, and I think you did address it, Nikki, we believe we'll attract a much higher quality professional for this position than if it were a temporary Marathon billet vacancy.
Thank you.
So do we have the ability to classify this employee in the unclassifieds rather than CCA?
At this point, that's something I'm researching further. It has to meet certain tests, and I'm looking at that right now.
Nikki, Nick, but ultimately, if the funds dry up and there's no other place in Carson City to put this person, that person may stay, but somebody's going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if it's Marathon or the city, we lose one body if the money dries up.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. And what you could possibly have would be a case based on seniority. So if this is a relatively junior person, that could possibly initiate a bumping scenario that may or may not bump anyone else. That person may be the most junior. So it's all going to depend on seniority.
And I see this as a service that's very, it's necessary in this area. And, in the past, fire and sheriff have asked for these services. I do not see a problem with getting the funding in the future. So it's just a matter of applying and going through that process.
Nikki, can you elaborate on what this job entails?
I actually, I have Jennifer here that works within the position, and she can give you a better idea of what she does on a daily basis.
Hi there.
Don't get nervous, Jennifer. We're not talking about you.
My name is Jennifer Wheat, and I work with aging and disabled people, so anybody from 60 and up and or disabled. So they come to me, or I go out and do outreach programs where I go to different places. I've got an appointment with the fire department where I'm going to be doing a training with them and telling them what I do, so that when they get those calls, they can get a hold of me or give the person a card to get a hold of me, where I can go and help those people, giving them the references, resources to help them to stay in their home as long as possible safely. So either that be finding adaptive equipment for them, if they need help financially, helping them fill out the paperwork for NV Energy, SNAP benefits, if they're not getting Social Security, helping them to get that, find out why not, and then helping them to enroll in that. So those are just some of the things that I do. I get referrals daily from different places, people that have gotten a brochure or a flyer that find out about the service. And so then I get a hold of them, have them come in, or I go out to their house and see what's going on in their house.
One more question. Do you coordinate with RSVP on what you do to expand your, the amount of people available to help out?
RSVP is somebody that I talk to on a regular basis. I refer people to them for different services that they have, like the PERS program, for transportation. I also refer people and help them with Jack Assist.
Well, I think that we've covered this subject pretty well, but the crux to this for me is I'd like some sort of an assurance, as much as you can, give me that if the grant funds go away, that we're going to make our best effort to make that position go away and not try to find work or find another position, since we have this employee on board now. So as John said, if the funding goes away, then a body goes away. But I don't know that that's necessarily the case. What I would like to hear is that the case or not? Or are we going to find work?
Well, like Nick said, this would be a CCA employee, and that employee could have bumping rights. So.
Well, I think just clarify the question. I think the question is, if the grant funds go away, the position goes away.
Correct.
But there's going to be no net increase in employees as a result of this, because one employee is going to have to leave. If they exercise the bumping rights, an employee is going to have to leave.
Correct.
Okay. So, am I getting that right? I think, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth and Supervisor Minkowski's mouth, but I had the same concerns. And just want to make sure that what we're not doing is creating a grant position that's then going to become a permanent position where we're going to be adding employees. And if we are, we need to know that now. But if we're not, then we need to know that. So, okay.
That is correct. You're a correct statement.
All right. All right. Public comment? Anybody? John, you want to make a motion? No?
Do I? I
No?
will. Sure.
I picked on you, John.
That's fine. It's happened before. I move to approve a full-time human service case manager position at Carson City Health and Human Services funded by the ADRC grant. This full-time position will replace the current part-time health services case manager position, if I'm in the right place.
You're in the right place. Motion by Supervisor McInnes, second by Supervisor Abel on the motion. Discussion.
We discuss.
Good discussion.
Just so everybody understands, it was on. Just so everybody understands, from what I get from this discussion is that the city manager, who is our employee, decided to fund this position in this way, and it is funded by money that comes in from a grant. When the grant money disappears, then that position will disappear and Carson City will have one less employee. The actual human being that works in this place may or may not be picked up in another job in the city, just like anybody else applying for a job could apply for a job and get a job with the city if the board approves that job. But this kind of gets into what's the discretion of the city manager to manage his staff versus the board to direct who hires what when?
I don't know that we need to address that right now. I think, that's a question we can talk about, but I think the question is whether we're going to approve this now.
Yes.
Okay. So on the motion, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Okay. Well, I got where you're going, John. Okay, go. Next one.
Okay, so my next one is I'm asking for the approval of a full-time Human Services Office Support Clerk. And this position is funded by 4 different grants. It's Aging and Disability Research Center, the Community Service Block Grant, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Shelter Plus Care Grant. This position was approved by IFC on November 5th. Currently, I've got a part-time position that is working on some of these duties, and again, within these grants to do the work necessary, it is proving that we need a full-time person. And again, the question of can I fund this through Marathon? I definitely could, but I've got an idea of the person for this position. I want to open it internal only. I'm looking, there's high quality work that comes out of this person, and I feel having a permanent position instead of continually training and trying to get the person to the level that I need them performing on can be difficult through Marathon sometimes.
So you're going to take a part-time employee, make that part-time employee a full-time employee?
Correct.
And you're going to fund that difference by grant funds?
Yes, through 4.
I see good news, Nick, coming up.
Sure, yeah. I think this position, the actual funding of this position was budgeted as a program. Was it a project? Or
We're
a
not
different
on that
one?
one. Yeah, we're not on C.
I think one additional item that would be helpful here and also in the previous discussion, some grants are more stable than others, and these particular grant sources have over time been stable. That's no guarantee of obviously what's going to take place in the future, but we have a high degree of confidence that these grants and therefore these positions that we're coming to the board for will maintain that steady source of funding.
Nikki, I have confidence that you're the person that's in the best position to manage your department, so I don't have an objection to approving this item if I have the same assurances from you as in the last item that if the grant funding does for some reason go away, that there's not a net increase in employees.
Correct.
Public comment? Anybody? Board comment, anything? We ready for a motion?
I'll make it.
Go.
I move to approve a full-time Human Service Office Support Clerk position at Carson City Health and Human Services funded by grants.
Motion by Supervisor Abott, second by Supervisor Shirk on the motion. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Okay. Now you can come up, Nick. I've never seen that happen before, but that's okay. I'd like to see your face up there. All right. Take us through this one, 12C, Nikki.
Okay, so this is for the approval of full-time management assistant 2 position. In the past, I've had a full-time position that was a project program coordinator position. It was a 1 FTE, 1 full-time equivalent. That position is no longer needed, but what I am finding is that it's no longer needed and it's no longer supported through the grant. But what I'm finding is that I need a management assistant too to help manage some other grants. So I'm not adding another FTE to the city's payroll, but I'm replacing one position with another to get the work done that I need to get done.
So, Nikki, essentially, this is about job description, correct? You're just moving them into a position that's much more needed within your department?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it isn't just that. We're also moving a Marathon contract employee to a Carson City employee, correct?
Yes. And again, it's that, the person, would open it internally, and it's looking at that quality of work. Mm-hmm. Again, it's someone that can produce a high quality and is very efficient in her position. And when I bring a Marathon employee in, it can rotate. It's, these people, I can have a high turnover rate with these people.
Public comment? Anybody? Board, we ready? Motion's in order.
I move to approve a full-time Management Assistant 2 position at Carson City Health and Human Services. This full-time position will replace a full-time Project Program Coordinator position, which is no longer needed and no longer financially supported.
Motion by Supervisor Abad, second by Supervisor McKenna on the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Board, let me ask you this. We're moving right along this morning. Why don't we take item 14, the city manager's request to approve bills out of order, take a break, and then we'll come back with Parks and Rec, and so we can have time for them to set up and get ready to get a little more comfortable. Anybody have any objection with that? Okay, so we'll take up item 14, approval of bills. Nick, anything unusual on this one?
No, sir.
Public comment on this issue? Board comment? Motion's in order.
I move to ratify the approval of bills and other requests for payments by the city manager for the period of October 7th, 2014 through November 7th, 2014.
Motion by Supervisor Mankowski, second by Supervisor Shirk on the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. So we're going to be in recess until, we'll take about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. There are some donuts up here for those in the back. If you want any. I'm talking back there and all the way in the back. Janice, hit those two in the back, will you? Okay, thanks. All right, we're in recess for a few minutes. 10 minutes.